Imagine you're on a date. The person across the table is smiling. They're nodding. They're saying all the right things like, "Yeah, I'd love to see you again," or "That's so interesting." But deep down in your gut, a little alarm bell is ringing. You can't explain it, but you feel like they are miles away. Or maybe you're in a job interview. The hiring manager is praising you, but the moment you mention your salary expectations, the vibe in the room shifts. The air gets cold. They didn't say no, but you felt a no. We've all been there. We trust the smile, we trust the words, and then we get blindsided. We get ghosted. We realize that the person we thought was our friend was actually secretly rooting for us to fail. It makes you wish you had a superpower, doesn't it? Imagine if you could look at a person, a boss, a lover, a stranger, and scan them like a barcode. Imagine if you could bypass the lies they tell with their tongue and read the truth they are shouting with their body.
What if I told you that this isn't a superpower, it's a skill? And it's not impossible. In fact, people are broadcasting their deepest secrets, their hidden fears, and their true intentions every single second. You just need to know which frequency to tune into. Welcome to Talking Books. Today, we aren't just summarizing a book, we are handing you the decoder ring to human behavior. We are diving deep into Read People Like a Book by Patrick King. We're going to break down the 13 scientifically backed signals that will help you spot a lie, detect attraction, and understand what people are really thinking, even when they're trying desperately to hide it. Before we unlock these secrets, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss out on the knowledge that gives you an edge in life. Join the Talking Books community and let's get smarter together. Ready? Let's start decoding. Signal 1. The truth about openness. How do you know if someone is being honest with you? We often think lying is about shifty eyes, but honesty is physical. It's about openness. Patrick King describes openness not just as a state of mind, but as a physical state of the body. Think about a time you felt completely safe with someone. Maybe you were with your best friend on the couch, or your mom in the kitchen. What did you do with your hands? You probably didn't even notice, but your palms were likely exposed. Open hands are the universal sign of, "I have nothing to hide." It goes back to our caveman days. Showing your palms meant you weren't holding a rock or a spear. Today, it means you aren't holding a lie. King points to a fascinating study done on video recordings of business negotiations. They found a direct correlation between an unbuttoned coat and an agreement. When people in a meeting were skeptical or guarded, their suit jackets stayed buttoned up tight. They were literally buttoning themselves in. But the moment the mental shift happened, the moment they thought, "Okay, I agree with this guy," they would reach down and unbutton their jacket. It's a subconscious release. It's the body saying, "I am opening up to you." So look for the unfolding. If you are pitching an idea to your boss, watch their body. Are they uncrossing their legs? Are they opening their palms on the table? Did they just unbutton their blazer or take off a scarf? If they move closer to the edge of the table and spread their arms, congratulations. You haven't just won their ears, you've won their trust. They aren't just listening anymore. They are ready to walk the path with you. Signal 2. The shield of defensiveness. Now, let's flip the coin. What happens when that trust is broken? We enter the zone of defensiveness. If openness is an open door, defensiveness is a fortress with the drawbridge pulled up. The most classic sign? The crossed arms. You might be thinking, "Come on, sometimes I cross my arms just because I'm cold." And yes, context matters. But in the heat of a conversation, crossed arms are rarely about temperature. They are a hug you give yourself to protect your vital organs, your heart and your lungs. It's a primal shield. Imagine a baseball umpire. When he makes a controversial call, what does he do? He crosses his arms over his chest. He is non-verbally saying, "My decision is final. Do not approach me. Do not argue." We do this in relationships all the time. You're arguing with your partner about whose turn it is to do the dishes. The moment they cross their arms, the conversation is effectively over. Their mind has shut down. They are blocking your words from entering. King notes something scary about this posture. It's contagious. If you are in a group setting and one influential person crosses their arms and leans back, watch what happens to the others. Slowly, one by one, they will mimic that behavior. If you see this, stop talking. If you keep pushing your point while someone is in this shield mode, you are just banging your head against a wall. You need to get them to physically unlock before they can mentally unlock. Hand them a cup of coffee. Ask them to look at a document. Get them to uncross those arms. Once the body opens, the mind follows. Signal 3. The "I'm interested" tilt. How do you know if someone actually likes you or if they are just being polite? Look at the head, specifically the head tilt. Charles Darwin, the father of evolution, was one of the first to document this. He noticed that animals and humans tilt their heads to the side when they hear something intriguing. Dogs do it all the time. You make a weird noise and the dog tilts its head. Why? They are exposing their neck, the most vulnerable part of their body. In human terms, a head tilt says, "I am not a threat, and I trust you enough to expose my carotid artery." It's a submissive, engaging, and warm signal. Women are often socialized to do this more than men from a young age to appear approachable, but it's universal. If you're on a date and the person is looking at you straight on, stiff neck, they might be listening, but they are analyzing you. But if they tilt their head to the side while you're telling that story about your childhood, they are hooked. It creates an invisible wire of connection. If you want to make someone feel heard, try it yourself. Next time your friend is venting, don't just nod, tilt your head slightly. It subconsciously tells them, "I am completely with you right now." Signal 4. The escape artist, suspicion and deception. Have you ever been talking to someone at a party and they're smiling and nodding, but you feel like they want to run away? Stop looking at their face. Look at their feet. The feet are the most honest part of the body. We are taught to control our faces from childhood. We are taught to control our hands, but nobody tells us to control our feet. If someone's torso is facing you, but their feet are pointed toward the exit door, their brain has already left the conversation. They are literally walking away while standing still. This is the exit strategy signal. But what about deception? How do you spot a liar? King highlights a very specific cluster of behaviors involving the face. When people lie or hold back information, their stress levels spike. This causes capillaries in the nose to expand, which can make the nose itch. It's called the Pinocchio effect. So watch for the nose touch. It's usually a quick rub, a touch, or a slight swipe under the nose. There's a great story about a university professor who suspected a student hadn't read the assigned book. He asked, "What did you think of the ending?" The student immediately rubbed his nose and said, "It was great, really powerful." The professor smiled and said, "I know you didn't read it." The nose rub gave it away. Also, look out for blocking behaviors. If someone covers their mouth while speaking, rubs their eye, or presses their lips together until they disappear, they are subconsciously trying to keep the words inside. They are suppressing the truth. Signal 5. The power stance, readiness. Let's talk about ambition. How do you spot a go-getter? Someone who is goal-oriented and ready to crush it. You look for the hands-on hips. Think of Superman or Wonder Woman. How do they stand? Chest out, elbows wide, hands resting on the hips. This isn't just for comic books. This is a biological signal of readiness. When an athlete is waiting on the sidelines, ready to sub into the game, they often stand like this. It takes up space. It makes the torso look bigger. It says, "I am effective and I am ready to take action." If you are in a meeting and someone stands up and puts their hands on their hips, they are asserting dominance and readiness. They aren't just brainstorming anymore. They are ready to execute. Patrick King observed his seminar attendees and found that the people who stood in this pose were the ones most likely to ask questions, challenge ideas, and take the lead. If you want to feel more confident before a big presentation, do this pose in the bathroom for 2 minutes. It actually changes your body chemistry, lowering cortisol, stress, and raising testosterone, confidence. Fake it till you make it, right? Signal 6. The decision maker, sitting on the edge. This one is subtle but powerful. It's about the leaning in. We talked about feet pointing to the door, but what about the rest of the body? When someone is sitting back in their chair, fully reclined, they are in observation mode. They are consuming information, but they aren't necessarily buying it. But watch for the shift. When someone slides their bum to the edge of the chair, leans forward, and maybe even grips the edge of the table, that is the action mode. They have moved from maybe to yes, or sometimes a very aggressive no. If you are a salesperson, this is the moment you stop selling and start closing. The client is physically bridging the gap between you and them. They are literally trying to get closer to the deal. Conversely, if they are gripping the armrests of their own chair tightly, the ejector seat pose, they are anxious and want to leave. But gripping the table, that's ownership. They are claiming the space. Signal 7. The self-soother, reassurance. We live in a high-stress world. We are all anxious creatures pretending to be calm, but the body has mechanisms to comfort itself when mommy or daddy isn't there to hug us. These are called pacifying behaviors. When a child is scared, they suck their thumb. It reduces their heart rate. As adults, we can't exactly suck our thumbs in a board meeting. Well, you can, but it would be weird. So we disguise it. We touch our necks. We play with our necklaces. We adjust our ties. We rub our earlobes. We wring our hands. The most common one in high-stakes situations involves the suprasternal notch, that little dip at the base of your throat, right between your collarbones. It's a very vulnerable area. When people feel threatened, insecure, or worried, they often touch or cover this spot. If you see a woman playing with her necklace or lightly pinching the skin on her neck while you're talking, you have likely said something that made her uncomfortable. She is trying to reassure herself. She is giving herself a mini hug. Men often do this by adjusting their collar or rubbing the back of their neck. If you spot this, pause. Don't plow through the conversation. You need to offer reassurance. Say something like, "I know this is a lot to take in," or, "Does that make sense?" You need to address the anxiety before you can move forward. If you ignore the self-soothing signal, you are losing the person. Signal 8. The cooperative unmasking. We touched on this with the unbuttoning of the coat, but true cooperation goes deeper. It's about removing barriers. Patrick King tells a story about a tense negotiation regarding patent rights. Heavy, boring, legal stuff. One guy was the key. Everyone was watching him. At the start, he was stiff, but as the conversation flowed, he did something crucial. He leaned in, opened his jacket, and spread his arms wide on the table, palms up. He was unmasking. When someone wants to cooperate, they remove physical obstacles. They might push their coffee cup to the side, so there is a clear line of sight between you and them. They might uncross their legs. If you are trying to build a team, look for the people who are removing barriers. The guy who puts his phone face down. The girl who turns her entire torso to face the speaker. These are your allies. They are signaling, "I am here, I am open, and I am ready to work." Signal 9. The silent scream. Frustration. What does suppressed anger look like? Not the yelling kind, but the "I'm trying to be professional, but I want to scream" kind. It's all about tension. Look at the hands. If someone is clasping their hands together tightly, so tight the knuckles turn white, they are holding back a negative emotion. It looks like they are praying, but they are actually restraining themselves. It's called the clasped hands gesture. The higher the hands are raised, the worse the frustration. Hands clasped on the table, frustrated but manageable. Hands clasped at chest level, getting angry. hands clasped in front of the face. They are effectively trying to hide a scream or a biting remark. There was a case where a negotiator thought he was winning because the other guy was smiling, but the other guy's hands were clenched so tight on his lap that he was practically bruising his own fingers.
The mouth lied. The hands told the truth. The deal fell apart because the negotiator missed the frustration signal. If you see the white knuckles, back off. De-escalate. Don't assume the smile is real. Signal 10. The architect of confidence. The steeple. This is my favorite signal because once you see it, you will see it everywhere. Every villain in a movie does it. Every confident CEO does it. Steve Jobs did it. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank does it. It's called steepling. This is when you press the fingertips of one hand against the fingertips of the other, forming a church steeple or a triangle. This is the ultimate sign of intellectual confidence. It says, I know exactly what I'm talking about. It is precise. It is calm. It is unwavering. People who are unsure of themselves wring their hands or hide them. People who are the masters of their domain steeple them. There are two versions. The high steeple, held at chest or chin level. This is usually when someone is speaking and explaining their brilliant idea. The low steeple, held down near the belt buckle. This is usually when someone is listening. It's a listening with confidence pose. If you want to appear more authoritative in your next interview, don't hide your hands under the table. Place them on the table in a gentle steeple. It subconsciously tells the interviewer, I've got this. Signal 11. The nervous tick. Leg cleansing. We talked about pants pulling in the intro. Let's dig deeper. Imagine you are sitting at a dinner party and you spill a drop of sauce on your pants. What do? You wipe it off. You rub your thighs. Now imagine there is no sauce, but the person is still rubbing their thighs with their palms, sliding their hands from their hips toward their knees. This is called leg cleansing. It is a major sign of stress and anxiety. The brain is trying to dry the sweaty palms, but it's also a pacifying rhythm. It's the body trying to wipe away the tension. You'll often see this right before someone has to deliver bad news or when they are being grilled with hard questions. They sit there, rubbing their thighs, looking down. They are essentially trying to comfort themselves because they feel under attack. If you see someone doing the leg cleansing motion, they are not okay. They are feeling the heat. Signal 12. The royal grip. Self-control. Have you ever seen Prince Charles or other royals walk? They often walk with their hands behind their back. This is often interpreted as confidence. But look closer. If one hand is simply holding the other hand behind the back, that can be confidence. It exposes the chest and gut, the vulnerable areas, showing fearlessness. However, if one hand is gripping the wrist or the forearm behind the back, that is a different story. That is self-control. It's as if one arm is physically restraining the other arm to prevent it from punching someone. The higher the grip goes up the arm, if they are gripping the elbow, the more angry or upset they are. They are literally holding themselves together. You might see this at a funeral or when a boss is listening to an employee make a terrible excuse. They stand there, hands behind back, gripping their wrist tight. They are projecting calm, but inside, they're managing a storm. Signal 13. The look of acceptance versus boredom. Finally, let's distinguish between someone who is listening and someone who is checked out. We often mistake boredom for deep thought. If someone is resting their chin on their hand and their index finger is pointing up fast against their cheek, they are analyzing, they are interested. But if the entire weight of the head is resting in the palm, like the hand is a kickstand for a heavy bowling ball, that is boredom. The energy has left the building. The eyes might glaze over. They are not thinking, they are just trying to stay awake. Now contrast that with acceptance. How do you know someone has truly accepted your apology or your idea? Look for the hand to chest. When someone says, I really appreciate that,
and they involuntarily bring their hand to their heart, that is genuine. It's an ancient gesture of sincerity. It says, "This touches me here." However, a warning. In some contexts, especially for women, a hand to the chest can be shock or protection. But usually, if it's accompanied by a soft smile and a forward lean, it is the gold standard.
So there you have it, the 13 signals that turn the human body into a readable book. Openness, unbuttoned coats, open palms. Defensiveness, crossed arms, locking out the world. Interest, the head tilt, exposing the neck. Deception, exit, feet pointing to the door, touching the nose. Readiness, hands on hips, taking up space. Action, sitting on the edge of the chair. Reassurance, touching the neck, playing with jewelry. Cooperation, removing barriers, unmasking. Frustration, white-knuckle clasped hands. Confidence, the steeple. Nervousness, leg cleansing, rubbing thighs. Self-control, gripping the wrist behind the back. Acceptance, hand to the heart. Don't just go out there and judge someone based on one signal. If someone crosses their arms, maybe the AC is just too high. If someone rubs their nose, maybe they have allergies. Look for 2 or 3 signals happening at the same time. If they have crossed arms and they are leaning back and they are frowning, okay, that's defensiveness. Understanding these signals isn't just about catching liars or winning negotiations. It's about empathy. It's about noticing that your partner is stressed before they even say a word. It's about realizing your child is scared even when they act tough. It's about connecting with the humans around you. When you can read the silence, you can hear the truth. This has been a summary of Read People Like a Book by Patrick King, brought to you by Talking Books. If you found value in this, if you learned something that made you go, aha, then please smash that like button. It helps us reach more people like you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We have a library of the world's best knowledge coming your way, decoded and simplified for your daily life. What is the one body language signal you notice most in other people? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories. Until next time, keep your eyes open and keep learning. This is Talking Books, signing off.